large section of Kerala, including celebrities, politicians, social media users, as well as the general public, they're angry and wary about some of the changes that have been brought about by the Union Territory's newly appointed administrator, Praful K. Patel. The tweaks he has brought about since taking over in December of 2020 are destructive and target its largely Muslim population. Many of them allege seeking his recall. The BJP has, however, said that they were only meant to end corrupt practices of politicians. Several leaders from Kerala have risen to the centre, and even the president citing the traditional ties between the island group and Kerala. And now for more on this controversy in Lakshadweep, let's go across to Sneha. Sneha, over to you.
Well, thank you, Divya. There's been literally a furore on social media, and not just social media. MPs, MLAs from Kerala have written either to the President, the Prime Minister or the Home Minister. They have been raising several allegations, concerns about what it seems to be the alleged unilateral decisions of the administrator of Lakshadweep, Mr. Praful Patel, against the wishes of people, is what the allegations in these letters that have been written to the constitutional heads, whether it be the President, Prime Minister or Home Minister. We'll get your voices, including the Lakshadweep MP. There seems to be some problem with the line. We'll get Mr. Mohammed Faisal shortly. But joining me right now first for the first reaction is Mr. PKD Nambiar. He's a political analyst and somebody who does support the BJP. Now, Mr. Nambiar, let me ask you this. A lot of uproar, literally, not just by ordinary people alone or just the social media, but from elected representatives of Kerala as well as Lakshadweep against certain decisions or drafts that have been in the pipeline by the administrator. How do you see this?
Firstly, there are two aspects to it. It may be the people of Lakshadweep, as the way we are portraying, whether it is in the social media or the politicians in the Kerala, is not really the true, and it is not the true sentiments of the people of Lakshadweep. The Lakshadweep, of course, do have its own character and its style, but in the meantime, it is also a strategic location from the point of view of this nation. The government of India is investing a large amount of money and large amount of projects, which is really redefining the way the people of Lakshadweep has been living. If you really look at the number of ships have been added to the city, to the island. If you really look at the new airport, the development of the airport, if you really know between the closest place that is from Kerala to the thing through the ships, how much time people generally take. The Agatha of the airport is going to be developed at a cost of 240 crore rupees. The central government has already been allocated that fund. When you do, and also it is going to be treated as a smart city. No, 1 second. It's also going to be treated as a smart city. There is a caucus of people, the people who are some of the private resort owners, some of the contracts people. There is a large number of people who are ruling the place, more of like a caucus, now getting the heat of true governance, and they have an issue. Of course, you all can differentiate. Even these plans were put it on, I believe it in March 19th or so, there is through a notification, this draft proposal has been given to the public and to the people representatives to give their feedback. So I believe the Muslim League or the CPIM has
Mr. Nambiar, let me just interrupt you here, because we've got Lakshadweep MP here, and before the line gets disconnected again, we had him on the video. We've lost the video. Let's just get him on the phone first, and I'll get back to you. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Mohammed Faisal. Now, the question really is, and Mr. BJP as well as Mr. Nambiar here, they are saying, listen, this is just motivated interests that are being taken to social media or by the elected representatives. How do you see this? What is the basic issue that people in Lakshadweep are standing against?
I was since yesterday onwards, 2 days, it was a very hype in the social media what exactly Lakshadweep is protesting. I would brief you what exactly we are protesting against. See, immediately after Mr. Praful Kodabai Patel have taken charge as an administrator, he took charge in the month of December. Within a span of 5 months, he tried to brought in some draft notifications by enacting some laws, trying to bring in some laws, which is totally unethical and challengeable and not environmental friendly. For instance, I would like to inform one thing. The one is first visit. What he tried to make a law or a draft was the PASA regulation, which is Prevention of Anti-Social Activity Regulation, which is popularly known as Gunta Act. Lakshadweep is a place we live very harmoniously. We are so patriotic, and there is no a single case in the National Crime Bureau of records against terrorism, against kidnapping, against child abduction, or anything. You can very well, right now also, you can log on to the site. All the such area is 0 cases reported in Lakshadweep. And top of that, the United Nations also had once there on their site they have mentioned that Lakshadweep is one of the peaceful area on the world. At this area, what was the need of implementing or trying to put a draft notification for implementing a PASA regulation there? It was surprising for entire people of Lakshadweep.
Right, Mr.
Secondly,
Karim.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Faisal, what is this thing about these draft notifications about which traditions that may interfere with, say, beef consumption, transportation, or even not allowing people who have had more than 2 children to contest in panchayat elections? Is this correct?
Yeah. Second thing, the other draft notification which was come in the form of animals preservation regulation. I would like to mention here that the animals preservation regulation which brought in have no mention about the marine diverse species, like, for the existence of the island. The islands are so fragile, and corals, the fragile environmental for the, growth and study of the island. There are some organisms which contribute for the betterment of the coral growth. So, say for example, sea cucumber. Sea cucumber is something which is very essential for the growth of the corals. See, if that would have been the intention of putting as an animal preservation reservation, the #1 species should mention in that was a sea cucumber. And you know that it was a wide news, and the CPA case is again registered against the smuggling of sea cucumber by someone else. That's a different topic. So that was a species something wanted to be preserved. Yeah, let me complete. I'm coming back to it.
Right. Let me just get Mr. Nambiar here. Mr. Nambiar, how do you respond to this?
I think the MP has actually clarified a lot. This is precisely, I also said, if the administration has given a draft notification to get the feedback from the elected people and the public at large, why this hue and cry? And secondly, the problem is not in Lakshadweep. The problem is happening far away in Kerala. All the Muslim League and the CPIM who have been trying to get into the Lakshadweep politics for ages could not even stand there for a minute, now are becoming the savior of Lakshadweep. It's completely a political motivated agenda.
Okay, let me get, since you're mentioning that, Mr. Nambiar.
I wanted to,
Let me get the response from...
No, I'll just tell you, the beef controversy. Where is the beef controversy is coming into this picture at all? There is no, the only thing is that during the school midday meal, the non-veg should not be served because of certain reasons. There is nothing else have been done. Even the great, in fact, what I have been known to, there is another
all right, Mr.
speculation. No, there is another speculation that
Mr. Nambiar, let me just get the Kerala MPs onto this response. Mr. Karim, you have written to the President. You've heard what the Lakshadweep MP as well as Mr. Nambiar has had to respond. How do you see this?
See, this administrator, Mr. Praful Patel, he is doing unilaterally. He is not consulting with the local body authorities or the people's representative of that island, member of parliament, and that community of the island. His action, most of them are objected by the people at large. This is not the question of Kerala political parties. In Kerala, all political parties have raised their voice for the protection of Lakshadweep Islands. In the island, student community is in the path of agitation since 2-3 months. And by and large, the people are opposing all the orders and the recent administrative steps taken by the administrator. See, initially, immediately after taking charge, he unilaterally changed the standard operating procedure, which was in force in the island for preventing the spread of COVID pandemic. After this, COVID is spreading among the people in a big way.
Right.
People are panicked. See, administrators issued some orders and promulgation.
Right, Mr. Karim, that's one thing, that's one point you've also mentioned in the letter. Right. Let me also get in Congress MP, Mr. Haibi Eden, at this point. So this letters and protests, objections by parliamentarians also crossing political lines in Kerala. Of course, BJP saying that this is only the left and the Congress joining hands together against the centre and the administrator. How do you see this, Mr. Eden?
This is not about politics. I appreciate Mr. Elamaram Karim for taking this stand. I invite all the political parties to join this agitation. Lakshadweep is a culturally sensitive place, which have been known for their harmony, existence, etc. And without any reason, for decades, there has been harmony amongst the people. There have been peace-loving people. But unfortunately, during the UPA government's regime, right from PM Said Saib's time, people used to love each other in the way they live, the way they exist. They have been depending on educational institutions across Kerala for health reasons, for hospitals. And we have been, there is a natural bonding between the people of Kerala and Lakshadweep. Of course, we will intervene inside the parliament and outside. We will give all the support to the Lakshadweep MP Faisal to make sure that the people of the island are protected. The fishing community, the fishermen folks, their basic livelihood is fishing. And their sheds have been destroyed. People are coming into the eating habits of the Dweep people. There have been constant interventions where an elected panchayat is ruling the place where no consultation have been happening. As Mr. Karim mentioned, unilaterally.
Right, Mr. Eden, I'll have to interrupt you here because I'm being told we are totally short of time. But thank you everyone for joining us on this. You've heard some of the elected representatives speak and raise their concerns over Lakshadweep and about what the BJP and their supporters have to raise also. But a lot of furore on the social media over what is being alleged as unilateral decisions and countered by the BJP.